Welcome to Stitch Crazy. Today we are going to try to make a couple purses out of blue jean scraps. I got a few samples here. This is like a small little clutch purse and it's got a little flap here, and the other one would be this bigger bag purse, and I embellished it with pockets and the handle. So to make these projects today, we are going to need blue jeans, your sewing machine, a scissors, thread, mat and ruler, and embellishments. Okay, so then the first thing you need to do when you're making this bag or purse is to decide on the size that you want it to, and then we would cut the squares accordingly. So then we would take like a blue jean that's cut apart, and then we would cut them into strips or blocks, whatever, depending on the size of your project. Okay, so to save some time, I've already cut some strips, and then we would take strips like this. This is a 6.5 inch strip, and you'd get a variety of colors so that we could have a variation in the coloring of the bag. Okay, so then what we would do is I sew strips together, and that's what I've done here. I've sewn the strips together, and then on this particular one I am going to decide on the size, and okay, so what I want to do is I want to make a piece so that I'm going to take these strips and sew them together so that when I sew it in half on this particular project, it'll be this big. So I'm going to take these two strips that I've sewn together, and I'm going to cut them apart so that I can sew them. So I'll take this and cut it apart here. Okay, so now I'm just making sure that my seams don't fall together. So we're going to take this piece over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew it together. You can use pins if you want. I just lay it together and sew it. And I'm going to use a 1/4 of an inch seam to sew this seam together. Okay. And I'm going to back stitch at the end just to kind of secure it a little bit. And then I'll hold the two pieces together and sew down the row. I've kind of decided how long I want my piece before I sew these together. Okay, once we've got that sewn together, we are going to have a piece when we open it up like this. So if I want this bag wider, then I would just add another piece on here. For today, we're just going to do this wide. Okay, so then I'm going to make my bag kind of a long and narrow bag. Okay, you can, if you don't want it that long, we could always cut it off. So let me see, maybe we want to just make it this long instead. Okay, so then you can either take your rotary cutter and cut it across, or we'll just take my scissors So you can just adjust it accordingly as you go. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I want to make this into a bag. So then I'm going to take and put the right sides together. And this is the way I made this bag, is by just like, this has actually bigger pieces. This is like an 8.5 inch strip, 2 of them, and I folded them together to make that. These are 6.5 inch strips, so that's why it's smaller. But if you wanted it wider, you could just add another strip on. So then what I am going to do, because I want this at the bottom, I'm going to sew down this side and I'm going to sew this side, okay? So we make a bag. Again, I would just take a 1/4 inch seam. If you're more comfortable taking a 1/2 inch, that's fine. It just makes your bag a little smaller. And I've backstitched my end just to kind of secure it. And then we just flip this over and do the same thing. Secure your end, and then just sew. Okay, so then what I have is then what I'm going to do here now with this, before I turn it over, I want to make these ends kind of flat, so it kind of makes your bag at the bottom have a little flat piece. So then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my piece and I am just going to make this so my seam is in the middle, and then I'm just going to sew right across the end, okay? And we have to do that to both sides. So once we got one side sewn, we'll just go over here, take the other side and kind of press it out. Get your seam. Now I kind of want to put them in the same spots, so I'm kind of just estimating. And I'll take this and lay this flat. And then sew across the end again to kind of make a flat point. Okay, so I'm going to cut these threads off to kind of get rid of some of these extra threads in here. Okay, now here what I do is I do cut the corners out, or you can just leave them in there too, and you can just flip them to the inside, because you're going to have a lining in here. So then we'll turn our bag to the right side. See, and that makes a nice flat edge there. Okay. So now you can do this two different ways. If you don't want a lining, you don't have to have a lining, and you could just take and stitch this over and then over again to, or we can find a piece of fabric. We would make it the same size, and that's what I've done in here. I'll flip this bag inside out, I've taken a piece of flannel. You make it the same size as this, and you just stick it in here. And then what I do is I fold this edge over, and I fold the edge over the lining, and I stitch all the way around. And that's what I've done here, is I've stitched all the way around to make a lining. Now if you wanted pockets on your lining, I would maybe sew the pockets on first, and then put your lining in your bag. Okay. So on this one, I sewed these pockets on after the fact. And so I have pockets on the outside. And for my handle on this bag, I took like a 2.5 inch strip, and then I just folded it so the insides, the raw edges are on the inside, and then I just stitched it on this side and this side. Go all the way around it, and so that'll make a nice sealed handle. And then on this particular purse, I decided that I thought it was kind of cute to have because it was a very long piece, I took and put my blue jean piece all the way around and stitched it. Stitched it on one side, and then I came around and stitched the other side. And I just took my piece and folded my handles up and stitched them over. Now when you're doing this, because it gets very thick, your sewing machine might not handle it. It might break your needles. So then what I do is I manually take and put my needle up and down so that I can tell it'll like stop, and then you just adjust it and it'll go through all your seams. So you have to be kind of careful when this gets really thick. Your machine will not like it, so you have to manually move your needle in and out of the in the seam. And then you could do more to the outside of this bag. You could take some fabric, you know, depending on the design you want. I found like this fabric with this really bright, you could take and use iron-on, and you could iron this on and embellish it, or you could take rickrack and lace, decorate your jean piece with it. And that is all there is to making this one.
Get 3 months free access on all lines, plus a new 4G smartphone for only $4.99 a month. 2 great offers with Valley Cellular. Call Valley today at 437-2615 to take advantage of this great deal.
And so on this little clutch one, I did the same technique. This was actually just one wide strip, and I sewed my lining, and then I sewed my pieces together, and I thought, oh, it'd be kind of nice to have a little flap. So then we had this. Now for this one, to make, I'm going to take like a little ponytail holder, and I'm going to sew that on here, and then I'm going to take a button, sew that on, and then you've got like a little clutch that closes. Okay, and then if you want some design here again, you could use the rickrack across here, you know, if you want it diagonally. And then you could use like the colored studs. So, and that would be one way of embellishing your little purses that you have. So that would be our program today. I hope you have enjoyed our program. If you have any questions or suggestions on any programs, or if you'd like to be a host on the program, please call me at 437-2615. Thank you.